All right, now we're getting to something that I think we really need to focus on, which is E and D. Specifically, D is going to be something we really want to talk about. If you want to use E shapes further up the neck, it's a little bit like using the A shapes because the E has an open string as its root note. 6th string open. So let's just put the capo up here on the 7th fret, all right? And now that means that if I play an E shape, the capo, first of all, is now the nut and it's the open strings. If I play an E shape, I'm actually playing a B chord. This is another key that is pretty tricky to play, and it's nice to be able to play with open strings. So E shape would be B, our A shape would be an E major chord. And if you decide to play a B7 shape, that's an F sharp 7. So E shapes are fairly straightforward. Your root note is on the 6th string. D shapes, though, require that you have some familiarity with E shapes because D shapes are the one chord family where there is no root note on the 5th or 6th strings, okay? So let's take a look at, I've got my D chord here. The root note is on the open 4th string. Okay, so try and follow this. I'll try and make it as clear as I can. Let's go back to an E shape for 1 second. If you study the root notes of the E shape, this open E shape, there are 3 root notes. There's one on the 6th string, there's one on the 4th string, and there's one on the 1st string. Now we want to focus on the root notes on the 6th string and the 4th string. And notice that there's a very specific relationship between those 2 notes. The E is the open string, and the low E is the open string, and then the next E is on the 4th string 2nd fret. So we could say that those 2 root notes are a string apart. You would skip a string, and you would skip a fret, because it's from the open string to the 2nd string. So maybe if I move up the neck to show you just that relationship. What we're learning here is that if you have a root note on the 6th string, so now I'm playing an A root note on the 6th string 5th fret, then there is a root note that's equal to that same note, an octave higher, but it's the same root note, if you skip a fret, okay, and then skip a string. So it's this little diagonal relationship. I'm playing the 5th fret 6th string, and I'm playing the 7th fret 4th string. And in this case, they are both A notes, okay? Okay, what this means is that if you want to use D shapes, which are very useful in coordinating with the capo to play in different keys, you're going to have to do a little 2-step process to find the root notes, unless you go ahead and memorize the notes on the 4th string, which I would recommend. But until that time, you might want to use this little shortcut that I'm showing you. Okay, we want to use D shapes. We want to play in the key of G. So what that means is we need to find a G note on the 4th string. And let's say we are not as comfortable with the notes on the 4th string. What you're going to do is find a G note on the 6th string. Okay, that's 3rd fret 6th string. And then remember that relationship that if I skip a fret and skip a string, there's this little diagonal finger shape, 1st finger, 3rd finger. That tells me that the 5th fret 4th string is also a G. So now I've found a G on the 4th string, which is what I needed, a root note. And since that's open in the D chord, the root note is the open 4th string, then I want to put my capo right on the 5th fret, so that now the open 4th string is a G, and if I play a D chord, I am now playing actually a G chord. D shape, G chord. So I do my primary chords in the key of D rather, sorry. Do my primary chords in the key of D. So I would do a D shape, a G shape, and an A shape. But now I'm actually in the key of G. I'm actually playing a G chord, a C chord, and a D chord. So you can see that the possibilities are endless with the capo. And hopefully this is not too convoluted. I think it's the kind of thing that sounds more complicated when you explain it and becomes much clearer when you just spend some time messing around on your own and putting songs in different keys. There's several reasons you would want to do this. One is what I said earlier in this video, which is that you're playing with somebody else who's also playing guitar, and you want to be playing different shapes than them to separate the sound of the two guitars. That's one really good use. Second use is that it just sounds different. I really like the sound of some of these really high capoed chord shapes. Like I said, it's almost a mandolin kind of sound. So personally, I just really enjoy that. And if you play a lot of guitar, it can be nice to just change the sound of your guitar once in a while. And thirdly, vocal range is a real issue here. You're going to find situations where either you're singing the song and the song is too high or too low, or you're working with a singer and it's too high or too low for them. You'd be surprised what just one fret's difference can make a huge difference. So you could be singing the song in, C. Could be the song you're playing just open chords in C, and there's a couple notes in the song that the singer is kind of bottoming out on it. They can't hit those low notes. Well, you could start by just experimenting. What if we just bring everything up one fret? So we're in the key of C sharp. Tighten up that capo a little bit. If we're in the key of C sharp, as a guitar player, you can just keep playing what you were playing in C, but now for the vocalist, maybe that's the difference, and now those low notes are not quite so hard. One thing I do is just, you could just kind of experiment. You could say, well, how high can we go? You could say, what if we do this? And it may be too high for them to sing, or you may discover that a song that sounded okay in C sounds, great in E flat. It's really interesting what you can discover by doing that. Just kind of experimenting with the capo. I think that about covers it as far as the basic capo skills you're going to want to have. So I hope you enjoy using the capo as a tool to kind of expand your abilities on the guitar.